Hey everybody, welcome back to the Bullhucker podcast. I'm Moose Lundstrom.
I'm Adam Vokey.
And today we have an awesome guest. Actually, when I started this podcast and I thought about the podcast, this guy is one of the guys I thought about first. He doesn't live here, so it's hard to get him here, but he's finally here. So,
right, well, you've been talking about having him on since.
I brought him up in past podcasts because he's my little booby, and I'll explain that in a little bit. Although he whipped my ass now, but I would be screaming the whole time, "Stop hitting me, booby! Please, Jesus, stop hitting me!" So, Adrian Vosburg, what's up, my man?
How's it going?
It's going amazing. We just got done taking the tour. You're from Brush.
I am from Brush.
And that's how we know each other because we I won't say we worked at Wendy's. We did work at Wendy's together. That's not how we met. It was in high school, in football, I believe. Right? That's how that. I think so.
Yeah, because you were a senior when I was a freshman.
Right. And the reason I call him Booby is because his sister was my night manager at one point in time, and she was mean, and she kicked the shit out of people. And Amy's tough. She's tough as shit. So she huddles us into a little huddle, like, come around, boys. You're all seniors this year, right? We're like, yeah. You playing football this year? We're like, yeah. She says, my little booby's playing football, and you better not do anything to him or I'll kick your ass. Your little booby. She was my little booby, and I'm like, why would you tell us that part? Like, if you don't want him to be abused, don't let him know he calls booby. So I can't stop saying it. That's how I always call him boobs. Although I'm the one with boobs, but I call him boobs. But that's how we know each other. And you two just met.
Yeah, just a few minutes ago.
But I'm glad you're here because you guys have a shitload in common. Adam,
that's what I'm hearing.
You do the wrestling thing, Adrian.
Yep.
And what level do you call it? I don't.
Oh, Jesus. I mean, at the level that we're at, we call it pro wrestling, but if you were to put it into like layman's terms, we're like a beer league for softball at that point.
Like a semi-pro.
It's a hobby, and obviously we train the guys and all that, but nobody's making fucking money. I mean, they're making $20, $30 bucks for a show if you're lucky, if you get paid.
Right.
So it's more just a passion thing. There are guys that try to branch out, try to get into the bigger indie scenes and get up to like the WWE or AEW and stuff like that. But at the level we're at, it's just local. Some guys go out of town, which is where you get some of my fucked up stories from, is traveling to some other town just so you can wrestle in a bar.
I love it.
But yeah, it's just basically a passion project and stuff that the guys enjoy to do, and then some actually have the talent to make it up to the summer leagues or whatever we would consider it for.
Right.
Most guys don't ever make it to the NFL or
right.
the big ones, right?
Right.
I mean, those spots are few and far between. So.
But I mean, it's still, to make it there, you have to be phenomenal. You got to be an athlete to do it in the first place.
You have to be an athlete, and it's weird because, especially with pro wrestling, that the thing that people don't understand is there are times that there are guys that are less talented than the guys that are in the independent scene. Sometimes it's who they know, right? Sometimes it's their character. Just their character alone gets them in. They don't have to have the fucking ability sometimes. So it's a weird thing, where as opposed to like the NFL, I mean, it's basically strictly off of talent, right? I mean, they do the combines and stuff like that. Well, sometimes it's who you know too, or who your dad was. I mean,
I think that's in every industry. In the comedy industry, Adrian, that's rampant.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, comics have you seen that are huge? You're like, why are you here?
Right,
And then him and I have had people booked on our stage that are phenomenal, like that murder the joint, you know. And people are like, "Where'd this guy come from?" I'm like, "He lives in Denver. He works for American Furniture Warehouse." He just doesn't know the right
motherfucker.
Because we know some funny ass people. I mean, there's people that I would love to give them a chance to do the world stage because they'd make it. You know what I mean? They're just that talented. So I think that's a pretty common. It's the world's just not fair.
It's everywhere.
Yeah. Well, they were bringing it up because Adam used to do the same thing. He used to be a wrestler.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Probably about 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
Yeah, I wrestled for Tri-State Wrestling Alliance out of like Los Animas, La Junta.
Oh, no shit.
Area. Yeah.
Wow.
Are you familiar with them or no? Are they still around? I don't even know.
I don't even know.
They're probably not. I mean, most of the independents, they kind of pop up.
The promoter's name, his name was Clarence, was like the guy that ran it. He wrestled as a Silver Bullet.
See, and most of mine were more around here. RMCW was where I got my start, and they were on UPN 20. They had gotten like a small TV deal, and that was how I kind of came across them. And yeah, it was more just Denver.
Right.
But yeah, goddamn, 10 years ago.
Yeah, it was.
I'm sure you
some-
probably worked with some of the same guys that I did. Ramble me off a few names and see.
I can't even. There was maybe about 6 or 7 of us and they were all from like that area. And then if we'd do a match somewhere, then Clarence would bring in some bigger name guys from like Texas or something like that.
Nice.
But
Yeah,
it was like
pretty much the same thing
it's-
where we're
my
at.
my first show that I did was in Burlington.
Burlington.
At the gym. I'd just started. I'd probably been with them for maybe a month or so. And so I was the official. I was the referee.
Oh, nice.
And got to take a ride through a table that night, and it was the best. I loved it. Got paid $11.
You got paid.
I got paid
Hey, you got
$11.
paid. That's all that matters. Got paid.
So
Adrian wrestled at this place. It was like a arcade, like not a Bill and or
It was Red and Jerry's
Red and
in
Jerry's.
Denver.
We came to that, me and Tim and Crystal, and I, you always think wrestling's fake, but then you get there and realize they're really kicking the shit out of each other.
yeah, it's what like my parents always gave me a hard time about it, because like the first weekend I went up there to train, it was like 4 or 5 hours of learning how to fall. I'd stand up, they'd knock you down, stand up, knock you down, stand up, knock you down. And then the next day was like learning how to do like flips and that type thing. Well, the guy that he like came off the ropes, was supposed to hit me in the stomach. I was supposed to flip over his arm type deal. Well, he dipped his shoulder, hit my feet, knocked me off balance, and I landed with all my weight on my right shoulder, separated my shoulder. And my parents were laughing at me about it. They're like, how do you get hurt doing something fake? I go, you can't fake gravity.
It's scripted.
Oh,
it's not fake.
Dude,
Yeah.
I mean,
So, right.
and that's the thing. I mean, everybody says shit's fake. So just recently we did Slave to the Death Match, which has been going on for 12 years now.
What's that?
Slave to the Death Match. It's shit that you really don't get to see other than like on an independent level.
Okay.
Light tubes, weed whackers. I mean, shit, right? I mean, like, it's a death match, stuff that you'd see over in like Japan. So I'd been working on this match for years, and as you know, electricity hurts like a motherfucker, but it's not showy, right? Like real electricity, like if you stick your finger in the light socket, it's not
Right.
Hollywood. You just say, and you're fucking done.
Right.
So I was like, how do I make this thing electrified and make it showy, but not really electrocute my ass? So we had these pyros hooked up, and they wound up not working. But I had lit up the light tubes on the table that I was going to go through, and then I had wrapped it with barbed wire. Well, I went through it. Everything's fine. I get back to the back, and my finger had managed to catch one of the barbs. And it had probably about a good half-inch gouge out of my finger. I still don't have feeling in this fucking finger. So it's like, tell me wrestling's fake, please. Tell me it's fake.
Yeah.
No, it's scripted.
It's scripted. It's not
scripted,
fake.
and we try to minimize what we do. But if you really think that it's fake, the best answer I've heard is if you think it's fake, come do it with me one day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
And fuck you.
right.
If you see what the ring is made out of, in and of itself, and the human body, basically, you're putting yourself through a small car crash every fucking time
Right,
you do it.
right.
Which is why you don't see many 60-year-old wrestlers.
Right.
And if they do, they're in a wheelchair up to the ring, and
Right.
then they fucking stand up, and they're like, oh, yeah. And then they get done, and they're like, fuck my life. Fucking wheel away,
Yeah.
right? I mean, so...
Like
Yeah,
offensive lineman in the NFL.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Our ring was made out of drill stem pipe for the bottom, just long pieces, and then 3/4-inch plywood too. Like we'd have them running like east and west, and then north and south.
Yep.
And then it was just a blue tarp that you could pick up at a hardware store. Over the top of that, there was no
Man,
padding, no nothing.
ours- the one that I started on was, that thin, like gray padding that they put over your tire in the back
Yeah.
in your car.
Yeah, of course.
We had 2 layers of that over wood 2x6s that lined the ring. Thankfully now some of the newer rings that we've got actually have a little bit of like actual wrestling padding on them.
Right.
And some of them, the guys are like, oh, this thing's like a pillow. And you go out there and you bump on it and you're like, where's this been all my life? My back wants to know where this is.
And then our ropes were like 1/2-inch wire cable with a garden hose
Yep, with a
around
garden
it.
hose, and then you
Yeah,
wrap-
and then you
you
wrap
wrap
it
the
with
electric
black tape.
tape, yep.
Yeah.
That's
That was
all
the
they
ropes.
are.
You catch those in the ribs or the back for for a training session, and you're feeling
And
it was so. I was so sore after that first weekend. I'd carry a pillow around the house, and if I had to cough, I would squeeze the pillow to cough because everything hurt so bad.
And it's funny, you teach the new trainees, you're like, hey, you got to put your hands here and here on the rope in case it breaks. And they're like, oh, well, how often does that happen? You'd be fucking surprised, all right? You don't know the guys that are putting this thing together.
Right.
It's kind of like a carnival ride. It's not necessarily the fun of riding the ride. It's whether or not the motherfucker's going to hold while you're on the ride.
It's you don't know the carny that's been involved. When I was in Pueblo, I worked at a nightclub, and so when the state fair would show up, we'd die. The business would just go away. So I worked. My mom's cousin Larry got me a job working security / parking at the state fair. So every morning we'd have to wake up and go get the carnies off the front lawn of the state fairgrounds because they're told it's called the Alibi in Pueblo across the street from the state fair. Now, if Colorado had the top 10 places to get stabbed, the Alibi is top 5. Okay,
It takes all 5 of them,
I was
right?
gonna say
But
it's 2, 3, 4, 5.
yeah, with the state prison being ahead of it. You know what I mean? That's about it.
yeah.
You can get fucked up at the Alibi. So we'd have to tell them, like, you can't bring that handle of vodka in, bro. You're about to run a ride with children, But they're like, oh, we can't bring this in. It's like, that's not news there, Joe Bob. You got to.
What state allowed that?
Yeah, right. He's like, Wyoming. I was like, okay, we're not Wyoming, asshole. But yeah, the carny thing makes me laugh. I am going to say how proud I am of this guy. I'm not going to get a little gushy for a second because he does. He's a dreamer who follows through with it, who chased it down. That's awesome. Every time I see you with the wrestling thing on, I'm so proud of this guy to be my friend. You know what I mean? It's super awesome you do that. And you're no spring chicken anymore. Neither of us are. No. And that's what really impresses me. That I'm like, how's Adrian not crippled? At this point. So, dude, I can't tell you.
I'm fueled with pure hate, basically. From the time I get up in the morning, it's like, all right, here we go. All right, we're up. Don't talk to me for at least 20 minutes.
His wife says, you're being an asshole today. I need you to go hit someone in the face with a chair. That's what you need to do. Just get it out. Just go get it out, man. Yeah, we were at that Red and Jerry's, and Kyle, Tim's son Kyle, 8 years old at the time, maybe?
God, I think 7. I mean,
maybe
he was
young.
young.
But the look on his face to see Uncle Adrian out there just kicking the shit in. Uncle Adrian just took a chair to the face. That was pretty impressive, right, Kyle? His eyes were this big the whole time, mouth open, just... He was so into it, man.
I still remember that picture Crystal posted of him with the chunk of table that we got him and signed for him.
Yeah, and that was a prized possession when he got home.
I have a chunk of the first table I went through somewhere.
Really?
I kept the corner of it.
Nice.
Yeah.
You should. That hurt like hell.
Oh, it was amazing. Because the dude because it was setting up on the actual floor, so he came off the ring apron on me, and he hit, and I'm all tacoed up in this thing, and he's on top of me, and I'm smiling, and he hits me, and he goes, "Stop smiling!" Right? I go, "I can't."
Keep it kayfabe.
Every time he hit, I was supposed to be knocked out. Every time he hit me, I'd smile bigger. So he grabs a chair, hits me with the chair. I start giggling. So he just flips me over and hits me again and walks off. And we get back to the locker room, and he looks at me. He goes, "We're going to have a ton of fun with you in the hardcore matches." And so I loved it. It was great. So
whenever you watch professional wrestling, I've always wondered, after watching you guys and realizing that watching you actually bleed, you know what I mean, and try to stop the bleeding. Like when you watch the professional wrestling and they put like the big cage, and the guys will climb top of the cage and they will jump on somebody from up there. How do you survive that? How do they not get just torn up?
You just have to minimize your risk, basically. I mean, now the tables break a lot of the fall.
Right.
Plus, you know how to fall, but it still fucking hurts.
I bet.
I mean, there's a reason why Mankind only did that for a couple pay-per-views, and he's not doing it anymore.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's still fucking...
Well, I'm sure you've seen at the WrestleMania where him and Mankind and Undertaker were on top of the cage.
Yeah.
And Undertaker choke slams him, and he falls clear to the ring.
Right.
That wasn't supposed to happen.
That cage was supposed to hold.
It was supposed to hold. It gave way, and they were interviewing Undertaker on a documentary, and he goes, "I was standing at the top of that cage thinking, I just killed my best friend."
Oh, fuck.
So, yeah,
That's nuts.
he wasn't supposed to take that ride.
So I've always wondered after I saw it. Coming and watching you live, I've never been to a live wrestling match. I've always watched it on TV. that opened my eyes to it. I was like, oh my god.
Oh yeah,
You know?
the special chairs, the special chairs that I get at Walmart
Right.
for tucking $10. Here you go.
Yeah.
I don't go down to the wrestling superstore with my little card that I got when I, you know what I mean? Oh, you want the special chairs? Give him the special chairs. Give him the shit that
or
doesn't
the trash cans, the metal trash cans.
Yeah. I've got one chair that I kept, and I was putting over one of my buddies, and we were trying to turn him into a bad guy. So it was basically, we did the whole friendship thing, stuff like that. Well, he hit me with the chair the first time, and I'm on my knees, and he still got it in his hands, and I was like, is that all you got? So he fucking comes around. I mean, I swear to Christ, from fucking Kansas, right? Bam! I taste copper. I hear ringing in my ear. All I remember is he rolled me up, whispering, "I love you, buddy," in my ear, right? We get to the back.
I love you.
He had hit me so hard, he had chipped the paint off, like clean off of one of those fold-up black chairs.
Yeah,
I mean, it was just splayed. Folded in half. I've still got it. He signed it. He's like, "Love you, buddy." Potatoed.
Right. There's a guy.
But I mean, there was like no give because I was on my knees, so there was like no way to even absorb it. It was just.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's a video a guy I found. You can only watch it a few times and do it 3 or 4 times. It gets old, but the first 3 or 4 times are entertaining as hell. He's he's a juggalo.
Are you talking about Superhuman?
Superhuman.
Oh yeah. Woo woo.
Oh, fuck this shit. And this guy is on a trampoline at him. He's jumping and he's got a table and he puts barbed wire on it, fluorescent light bulbs. He puts all this crap on it and he woo woo tears off his shirt. He's not anywhere close to being in shape. Tears off his shirt and then he jumps. And the scream of pain he does is the only thing that makes me laugh. You can only watch a few of them, but you're
Have you seen the one we went through the cactus? He set up a bunch of goddamn cactus.
Yes. I was like, look, the guys at work, I'm like, look at this guy. Oh my God, dude. But he was in a wrestling match. I was going down his YouTube videos and some wrestler brought him on stage and
God.
they all knew him. I mean,
Everybody knows him, yeah, but nobody's trained him. I mean, the kid's basically just...
Right.
He's internet sensation. Here you go. We're going to capitalize on this. You want to put yourself through some shit and make us some money? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Here's your $20, kid. Welcome to the fucking big leagues.
Welcome to the circus, my friend. All right. Well, I should start off. Welcome to the Bullhucker podcast. So, in case you're new to the podcast, what we do is we bring on a guest who brings 3 stories about their life. Now, the kicker is only 2 of these stories are true. One is not true. It's either a fib or it's borrowed. It's just not their story. So Adrian, and that's the one we call the Bullhucker. Without going into great detail, Adrian, the one that's the Bullhucker, is it borrowed or is it made up?
It would be borrowed.
Oh, borrowed. Okay,
yes.
So it's not your story. Okay,
Nope.
That's awesome. So, so what we're going to do is at the end of the podcast, Adam and I are going to try and guess which one we think is not his story. So I want to thank you for watching. And if you're on YouTube, please subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. If you go on the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see a little red dot. That's the subscribe button. Hit that bad boy. It's a small click for you, but a big click for us. Also, whatever you're on, iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, whatever you get your podcasts, please make sure you leave a rating and review. It helps the podcast and makes us happy in the pants, right? Happy
Absolutely.
in the pants.
Happy in the pants.
I love being happy in the pants.
Who doesn't? So anyway, and you can find all our stuff on the bullhucker.com. Also, something I've added, and I'm going to put Adrian's stuff on there, is a as seen on the podcast. So if you see someone like Adrian or somebody you want to do charities we've had on here or businesses we've had on here, look on there. They'll have a link to wherever Adrian wants us to put a link to. Do you have like a Facebook or anything like that? Or
I've got my Facebook and my Instagram.
Okay.
My Facebook's weird. It's like a mixture of real me plus you get like wrestling gimmick shit, so it's all over the place sometimes.
Well, whatever he wants, we'll put a link there. So you can actually find Adrian. If you want to take the family out and want to watch Adrian take abuse from a chair to the face, I mean, it's actually very entertaining. I enjoyed it. He's my friend. So we'll put that on the as seen on the podcast. So please make sure you check that out. And check out all the stuff on there. They have a lot of cool stuff on there. Other podcasts and whatnot. People have been on the podcast. So having said that, we have 3 stories. Adrian, you ready to tell us some stories?
Absolutely.
All right. Because this is going to be a longer one because we've been friends a long time, so other stories are probably going to come up as we go. So.
I mean, I had like a million popping up just driving into town. I was like, holy shit.
It's one of those podcasts where he comes in and we could just talk without telling these damn stories. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Tell those stories, but that's not what we're gonna do. So, Adam, you want to read those off?
All right. We've got.
Adrian has a high school education, so his writing is like mine. It looks like he had a seizure.
Plus, I've got no feeling in my fucking fingers.
Looks like he had a seizure halfway through. He was writing this.
Okay, let me see who we got. Lacuna Coil Ozfest.
Yep.
Puke Purse Underwear.
Yes, sir.
What's that last one?
Road trip from hell.
From Hell.
All right. You want to pick it out, Adam, or you want me to pick it first?
I'm going to go with Road Trip from Hell.
Road trip from hell. All right. So, God, this would have been the first run that I had when I was wrestling. We were living in Greeley at the time, and I had taken in this younger kid. He kind of became like a little brother. He was living with me at the time, and we had one other guy that we'd go pick down in Denver up. And, of course, none of those guys could drive a stick. So I had the stick, I had to drive. So 6 o'clock in the morning, we're up. Drive down to Amarillo, do a match, get Whataburger, drive all the way home. I would be out for probably about 24 to 28 hours by the time it was all said and done.
Wow.
While they slept in the back and did
Of course.
shit.
Of course.
So we're driving down Amarillo, and that trip from in between Raton and Amarillo is just barren. Just fucking terrible. So you get guys in the car and you start telling all these weird stories and jokes and shit. Well, we're cruising through. I think it was late September. And I'm driving along, and all of a sudden I see this thing that looks like fucking Thing from the Addams Family, like across the road.
The cut off hand.
Yeah, like the cut off hand thing fucking across the road. And I was like, no, I'm not even going to say anything because these guys are going to think I'm fucking crazy. Yeah. So I see another one down the road further, and I was like, that was a fucking spider. That was a big fucking spider. So I look over at the guy.
What color was it?
It was fast, dude. I'm going down the road
It
like
was
65
blur.
miles an hour. All I saw
blur.
was something big, and so I told him, I was like, dude, did you fucking see that? And he's like, dude, I don't know what you're talking about. I was like, okay, whatever. So pretty soon, I saw like 3 or 4 of them. So I slam on the brakes, and I get out of the car. It's fucking tarantulas down there. Apparently, they know about it down there. There's like a running of the tarantulas. It's mating season.
Yeah, it's like the migration.
Yeah, and these big-ass motherfuckers are just like booking it across the road to go get some spider punani, right? So my buddy's in the back. He's the one that had hit me with the chair. He's in the back, and he's deathly afraid of spiders. Deathly afraid of spiders. So he's reaching his hand out of the car trying to take a picture of this big motherfucker that's sitting outside by the car.
Oh, no.
So I grab a zip tie from my driver's side, and I reach behind, stick it in his ear. Well, he fucking screams like a girl, throws his phone up in the air. It lands down next to the fucking spider. And he won't go get it. So I've got to go out and get his phone for him while he's screaming in the back. So I get his phone for him, and that was just kind of like a setup for the story. So we go down to Amarillo. We have a good time. We stop at Whataburger because Whataburger's the shit. Thankfully,
Agreed.
we're finally going to get one here. And he's hopped up on Vicodin. My other buddy's falling asleep. And I'm freebasing 5-hour energies into my Rockstar energy drink so that I can make it home. Smoking fucking left and right. And fuck those guys, whatever. We're going to make it home. Well, I got to stop because I got to take a shit. And I'm like, oh, man. So there's a rest stop, which I don't even think these things exist anymore. I think rest stops are all like a thing of the past.
After something about Mary, I think they put a big kibosh on
right.
them.
So we stop at this rest stop, and I go into the men's room, and it was the most beautiful thing I had ever seen. I mean, working construction and having been in truck stop bathrooms before, somebody took probably 2 rolls of toilet paper and made this beautiful like nest so they could go to the bathroom cleanly, right?
Right.
On the back of the wall is this explosion of shit just everywhere. So, my sleep-deprived mind, I'm like, I could just see this person. They spent probably a good 30 minutes building this thing, right? And they get there, and they're just so close because you've been there, right?
Yeah.
Where you held it so long.
Who are
and
you
it's
talking to?
That last 5 seconds in between when the ass hits and you commit and you can go, right? And I just had this mental picture of them just like, oh, so close. just everywhere, and they were just so defeated. They just left. They were just like, man, I'm just leaving it here. So I went and got the guys. I was like, you guys got to see this. This is the best shit ever. And they get out and they're like, you fucking woke us up for this. I was like, dude, this is hilarious. I was like, that was about it. We got home, and they're gassing up the car for me. And my buddy falls asleep while he's gassing the car up.
Oh, God.
And it doesn't shut off.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So it's leaking everywhere. And I'm smelling gas in the car. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Hey. Dude. So he gets in the car, and now we're high as shit because all these gas fumes are coming off of him. Oh, so we dumped my buddy off in Denver, and we made it home. But that was probably like the roughest road trip we had between the gas fumes and sleep deprivation and the fucking shit everywhere.
The shit Picasso.
It's funny you bring it up because I totally know what you're talking about. Where you got to go. I mean, to where you're trying to button, and this is the most anybody prays to God is when you're about to shit your pants.
Because you finally made it. You know you're so close.
And you're sitting down, and the whip and the centrifugal force, just like wings it because you can feel it on one butt cheek. This is so gross to talk about. I'm sorry, but just relate to what you're saying. You sit down and you're like, damn it.
That just happened to me today, so that's all right.
Well, I'm glad you guys get it, because, I mean, I just had that mental image of that poor bastard, and I felt for him. I was like, man, if you just would have shit instead of making this nest, you'd have been totally fine. You had 30 minutes to make this nest, and you chose to fucking do it.
He's like shit break from American Pie, right? We're just like, oh God, oh jeez. Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, and he just left. This actually came up on another podcast about people who destroy bathrooms. I don't know if you were working that day at Wendy's when that poor old woman came in and just destroyed it. I think it was an accident, but I mean, it looked like everywhere. Like, oh my God, that's what I said. Like, did she look for a head? Did she blow up?
Look like scanners.
And you knew how to clean it. Cleaning old Tim. I'm like, Tim, that's you, buddy. That's on you. He's like, I'm not cleaning it.
Yeah,
I'm like,
Tim wasn't going to clean it.
He took the hose in there. Remember that hose would reach back there. And
no shit.
He gave the old prison.
I'm surprised he cleaned it.
He did. He
Probably
prison
would have
cleaned it.
delegated one of us had you not fucking been holding it to him.
But yeah, that's
Dude, I remember we used to take the breadsticks and we'd throw the breadsticks in the oven until they were like rock hard, and we'd put them in the toilet
and burnt,
like just fucking, and we'd put them in the toilet for the morning crew to come in, and you couldn't flush it because it would just clog the toilet up. So they'd have to reach their hand in and pull this rotten, burnt, soaked bread.
And dude, when you put it in there, obviously what it does, it expands.
Right. Oh, wow.
So I remember Rhonda, I guess she walked, she goes, oh my God. Because it looked like someone threw their acid tube trying to get this thing out. I forgot about that. I don't know how that Wendy's is still in business. I really don't.
Dude. I tell people some of the stories of that, like the mystery bean and the chili and shit like that, and they're like, mystery bean? I'm like, no, there's mystery bean.
Well, you give that a little
Nobody ever won that competition.
Well, what do you think about that one, Adam?
That was fantastic. That set a high bar for these other two stories.
Yeah, it's sad he beats him. So, all right, we have Lacuna Coil Ozfest and Puke Purse underwear. You know what? I know which one I want to hear, but I'm going to save it till last. So let's hear Lacuna Coil Ozfest.
Lacuna Coil Ozfest. All right, so, God, this would have been Ozfest like 2002. It was the year Ozzy got hurt on the ATV. Whatever fucking year that was.
I don't remember that. Okay.
But they used to do, Ozfest, like back when people had festivals, apparently before COVID and all this shit. But, so they were doing Ozfest. I wasn't going to go. So my girlfriend at the time, now ex-old lady, she was like, well, if we're not going to go, I'll do something else. Well, one of the guys that I lived with happened to get online, and they were doing like a flash sale at the time. And it was 2 for the price of 1.
Wow.
It's still for sale. They were trying to sell out the fucking venue. And he's like, dude, we're going. I got a ticket. Yours is free. Just come along. Sure. Why not? Well, we stayed up drinking all night long.
I'm shocked.
Oh, yeah. Most of my fucking stories involve alcohol, unfortunately. That one didn't because I was taking care of the guys. But so we woke up, hungover. I'm drinking on the way there to get the edge back off. We show up, and the way that they did it at Fiddler's, because it was a festival, was they opened up the second stage, which was the main part of Fiddler's, at like 4 o'clock.
Okay.
So all the rest of the bands were performing on the second stage in this parking lot that they had just kind of roped off.
Right.
Well, we park, and this was back before Fiddler's was all like fucking commercialized and built up.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because now it's all office buildings and you can't park anywhere. But he had found an office building that had a parking garage that we just parked in for free. So we climb over the barriers and fucking come into the parking lot. He's got the tickets in his pocket, which goes to later on in the story. So I don't even have the ticket. I've got my wallet. I don't have my cell phone because this is before smartphones, right? Everybody just had
A flip phone.
flip phones.
Yeah.
I left it in the car like a fucking dumbass. But, so all I've got is my wallet. We go walking in, and we're walking in with a bunch of roadies. And they just let us fucking through. They didn't scan the tickets. They didn't do anything. Didn't give us wristbands.
Wow.
Nothing, right? We just get into the concert. I was like, well, fuck, that was pretty easy, or whatever. So we're doing the concert, and I'm getting drunk as shit. And we went and met Zach Wilde, and we met Lacuna Coil. We did a bunch of shit, like fucking meet and greets, and went and saw some bands. And I'm just getting progressively more drunk and belligerent, and he's just feeding it, right? He's like, oh, yeah, this is great. Here you go.
Right.
So we walk by their little Midway, and they've got, it's kick me in the head for $1. And he was like, fuck yeah. He's like, my buddy's going to kick you in the head. So he gives them the $1, and they're like, well, it's not that simple. He's going to sit on this cooler, and you're going to kick this soccer ball, and if you hit him in the head, you win a prize. My buddy's like, no, he's drunk. Sure, go ahead, $1. So I'm up there, right? I stumble a little to the left, stumble a little to the right, just give it this little tap, and it fucking just shoots. Bam! Right in the fucking head of the dude. And they're like, oh. We were like, what? Oh, nobody's ever done that. We had like professional soccer players and shit, and everybody, we don't even have a prize. We were just trying to make money on the side. And I'm like, well, I want a fucking prize. Yeah. So they disappear. 20 minutes later, they show up. They've got this stovepipe, like carnival, fuzzy, neon, just disgusting hat, right? I don't know where they got it. But, it's like an Abe Lincoln hat, but it's made out of this fuzzy material, and it's like the early 2000s, like black.
Like Dr. Seuss hat.
Well, it's not even Dr. Seuss. It's like Dr. Seuss on acid hat, right? Okay. I mean, it's black, and it's got like these orange like stripes and shit. So I'm wearing that around now, right?
Of course.
Well, we finally go into the fucking venue, and we're on the lawn, and Slayer starts playing. And I was like, fuck yeah, I watch Slayer. So he leaves to go get beers. Slayer finishes playing, and he still hasn't made it back.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, man, I need to go find him. So I, like a dumbass, find my way out of the main part of Fiddler's and back out into the fucking parking lot. Well, I can't get back in because I don't have a ticket. He's got my goddamn ticket, and I'm trying to get back in. And they're like, well, you don't have a wristband. You don't have a ticket. You don't have anything. Fuck my life. I don't have my phone. All I know is where he's parked. Sweet. So I'm hanging out at the second stage area. Well, all the tour buses and shit had pulled up, and they had torn down the second stage.
Right.
And there was a tour bus and some dudes fucking hanging out, just shooting the shit. And I was like, okay, well, I got to find something to do to kill the next like 3 hours of this concert. So I sit down and start talking to him, drunker and shit, right? Doesn't click for probably about 20 minutes that this is Lacuna Coil that I'm fucking sitting with.
Who's Lacuna Coil? I don't.
Lacuna Coil is a heavy metal band, and they had been on the second stage.
Okay.
And they had been touring. They're pretty big now.
Okay.
But I had listened to them before. I just didn't put two and two together in my drunkenness that, holy shit, these guys are like not roadies. They're the actual band.
Right.
Well, I'm sitting there. I'm like, man, of course, another one of my stories involves taking a shit. And I was like, God damn, I got to take a shit. So I get up and they're like, hey, where are you going, fuzzy hat? And I was like, I got to take a shit. And they're like, you can go shit on our bus. And I was like, really? So I go in and take a shit on Lacuna Coil's tour bus. And I'm like, nobody's ever going to believe this, man. This is fucking trippy shit. So I got done hanging out with them. And then eventually I passed out on his car in the parking lot. And he shows up. And I'm trying to tell him, like, dude, I hung with Lacuna Coil. And he's just like, hey, how drunk are you, man? He's fucking,
right.
Are you sure you were hanging out? Oh, dude, I'm totally. Why didn't you have any pictures? Why didn't you call me? Yeah.
I don't have my phone.
I don't have my phone. But yeah, I mean, that was one of the coolest things that I had was just drunkenly, randomly, I guess if you want to hang out with bands that are on the second stage, don't go see the concert. You could come fucking hang out with them. It was funny because they just called me Fuzzy Hat the whole time. It's like this Italian rock band that barely speaks English. They're talking in Italian just over to themselves. I'm sure they're talking shit about me like the whole fucking time. We don't know who this drunk asshole is. Just let him be, though. He's going to get belligerent.
They thought you were safe as milk, though. They're like, oh, Mijo,
Yeah, they're
go
like,
shit on our
he's,
bus.
He's okay. Go shit on the bus.
Because you were their entertainment.
Probably.
They didn't want you
They're
wandering
probably
off.
somewhere telling stories right now. They're like, we were in Colorado with this fucking drunk.
And it just man, he got that fuzzy hat.
Their next single was Fuzzy Hat.
Drunken Fuzzy Hat.
Fuzzy hat shitter. What do you think about that story, Moke?
That was pretty good.
Yeah. You got a front runner yet? I don't yet.
Not really. No.
Not so much.
You did a good job so far. Yeah. I like it. Do you remember the concerts? We went to a lot of concerts back in the day.
Oh, we did. You were my first.
Yeah. What was our first concert we went to?
Alice Cooper Scorpions at Fiddler's.
Okay, that's the one where everybody got high except for us.
Yes.
And
yes.
remember we got a little mad at him?
Well, yeah, because they ran off and got high.
Yeah. And some old biker. Remember that old biker who kept sticking his head between us? Like, we were just watching the concert, and this is amazing, right, boys? And I'm like, who the fuck is this guy?
We were like, dude, you're not part of our setting.
Right. That was a great concert, man.
He was your guys' Fuzzy Hat.
He was our Fuzzy Hat.
He was our
It all
greasy
comes
spoon.
full circle.
That was right after the Avs had won their first Stanley Cup. And Alice Cooper came on stage in an Avs jersey, man, and that crowd went
I'm sure.
nuts. Were you you didn't go to Lollapaloozas with us, did you?
I don't know if I went to the one with you. We went to the Lollapalooza that was, Tool headlined on that one.
Nope, I didn't go to that one. We went to the one where our friend Jason, we were sitting on, you've been to Fiddlers?
No, I've never been there.
Oh, so the top top levels are all grass.
The grass.
You just bring blankets and whatever. So Jason, there's like a little walkway.
I remember this one.
There's a little walk path. People were walking down the lawn. You get nothing. He had suntan lotion because it's Lollapalooza during the day. He just starts suntanning the grass. So people are walking down with, at that time, they're $7 beers, which was exorbitant for that time.
Right.
Walking down, they went like, like Christmas Vacation,
Slip and slide.
where Chevy
on the
Chase
sled.
has a sled. He's like lightning, dude. That's what these people did. And everybody around us started watching this. Like, everybody knew he was doing it, man. So we would wait like a half an hour, and he'd pull it out. And then he would just wait. And people would like jet, and there was like a remember that metal fence?
Uh-huh.
2 or 3 people hit that bitch. Boom! We're like, oh my God! Oh my God! It was amazing, dude. You look back and you might have paralyzed somebody, and we'd have been, as they're gasping for life, we're laughing hysterically. Right. We think we're hilarious, but Jason and that suntan lotion, man. So. Be careful. Be careful when you're walking in Fiddler's Green that there's not some asshole kids from Brush, Colorado, whose parents actually raised them like savages.
Oh, dude! Nowadays, I'd been on TikTok.
It would be amazing, dude. Because people ate shit, dude. And you spill those beers, man. I mean, rage fills your soul. You know what I mean? And they get up, and you got a whole section of people just cracking
just
up.
laughing at you.
So you can try and fight 200 people, or you can just like swallow your pride and go get 2 more beers. take the sidewalk down next time.
Go take a mortgage out to go get another couple beers. Fuck me.
Oh, that's great, Adrian. I never got to go to Ozfest with you guys. Did you go to Kiss with us?
Yeah, me and you and Miller
Okay.
went to Kiss.
Yeah.
Because I had a football game that day. They rescheduled a football game.
Oh, that's right.
So I had to do special arrangements, and I had to drive to Greeley and park my car at the Taco Bell because that was where the bus was going to stop.
Right.
So the guys could have lunch, and then I rode the bus with the guys to the school. Got done with the football game, got off, drove up to Miller's house, and then we went and saw Kiss. That was right before McNichols got tore down.
Yeah, we were on the floor, and they had folding chairs, right? We were sitting in folding chairs. I had just freshly turned 21. That might have been the first concert I was actually 21 at. So me and Miller go to get everybody beers, right? Because Miller turned 21 before I did. And I might have told you this story before. And everybody's standing up, rocking out, you know what I mean? And we're trying to get back. Well, Jason Miller's built like, he's a skinny little guy. He's a little guy.
He's built like Mr. Bean.
Yeah, he weighs 95 pounds soaking wet. He just glides across the stairs, or across people's chairs, you know, he's walking on those chairs. And, you know, me, Shrek, I got 2 beers, and I was made for loving you, singing along, you know. I step on the wrong part of the chair, the folding chair, and it closes on my foot. And dude,
Bear trap.
and I go down, but something in my head falling things grabbed something sturdy. So there was a big thick woman. I mean, this chick was like our size now, Adam. And I tackle this bitch. And I mean we eat it. Beer goes everywhere. Some guys has the 25 anniversary album. I ruin. He gets pissed off. But I tackle. I just lay there for a second, and she's pissed off because I'm waiting for them to be like, "Holy shit!" Up on stage, like, "Whoa, hey!" As part of the crowd, just kind of like a sinkhole. A sinkhole just formed because it just went down. Oh, I got up and I told him, "I'm sorry." And just, what the fuck? And I jetted, man. As quick as I get back to the seats, and Miller's like, "Where's your beers?" I'm like on the floor of that guy over there. You know?
See that lady and that guy. And that.
That guy's collector's album.
Oh, I just tackled Andre the Giant's daughter. Eh? She was a thick one, man. But yeah, I went down. We could talk about concerts all day long. So, all right, Mr. Adrian, we got one more story.
One more.
This is the one I really want to hear. Puke purse underwear.
Puke purse underwear. So, was living in Greeley at the time, and they did it was a police training course. Well, they wanted to do the DUI sobriety shit where you can't do it when people are acting, right? I mean, you need a drunk tank. So it was, hey, free alcohol, come in a safe environment, get hammered, and you're gonna put our fucking police through the fucking ringer, right? We want to see how sober they are, you know. We want to see. So, and it was like that. We'll keep track. We'll write it down. We won't let them know. So we go in, and the guys that I'm with, they're like, "Oh yeah, well, we want to fuck with them. So one of us shouldn't really drink. One of us should have one,
right?
And one of us will have a couple." And I was like, "Free drinks." Yeah. I was like, let's see if these assholes can keep up. And they were like, oh, fuck. So just down, right? They're like,
I remember.
Well, you're at like 0.187 right now. Yeah, let's see how they work. So, you know, you're doing the roadsides, and they're like, he's all right. Maybe a little drunk. Maybe not.
Right.
And they're like, oh, holy shit. Yeah. We should have taken you downtown about fucking 8 beers ago. So we get home, and I go to the bathroom. Again, fucking bathroom. Jesus, I spent half my life in the toilet. Apparently.
I love it.
So it was probably about midnight, right? So I'm in there, just going to the bathroom, and pass out on the toilet. Well, wake up, you got to throw up, don't know where the fuck you're at, so go back to sleep, right? Wake up in the morning.
Been there, yes, I know.
There is a pile of vomit in my underwear from the night before, like this cute little puke purse that I can just pick up and like fucking take with me. And so there I am. I got to wipe my ass, and it's probably fucking like 4 hours dried shit. Don't pull your underwear up, because God fucking forbid, right? So take your feet out without getting too much vomit on, and try to clean up, and your buddy's place. And I come out and I've got a towel wrapped around me because I didn't have anything other than my puke fucking underwear and my puke shit, right?
Of course.
So in my boots, probably covered with vomit too, but I didn't want to go out barefoot. Wrapped in a towel that I just happened to grab. I don't know whose it was. I'm sorry, whose ever it was.
Right.
Downstairs looking for him. Where the fuck is he at, dude? So I go outside. He's passed out on the trampoline. His kids are fucking jumping up and down, trying to wake him up. Dad, come on, Dad. And he's just out like a fucking light. So I finally go get him woke up. I'm like, you gotta take me home. He's like, the fuck are your pants? Don't ask, dude. I need a trash bag and I need to go home.
I need a trash bag and some aspirin ASAP.
Oh, that was short and sweet.
Been there. Before I forget, I always forget this. Sorry, Chelsea. Thank you to the Sands Theater, by the way. This is where we're at, actually. I was going to bring that up earlier because Adrian's like me. He's seen most of the movies he loved as a child in this theater. So they're currently trying. They're actually making a lot of progress upstairs. We saw. I didn't know that. They're trying to reopen it. They're trying to get it out. So when they do reopen, please make sure you support the Sands Theater. Come in here, watch movies or whatever live entertainment they decide to bring in. And thank you, Chamber of Commerce, for letting us do this here, letting us have this podcast out of your Sands Theater and listening to stories like this today, because that's very generous of you. And it's a good time. So thank you again, and please make sure you support the Sands. We'll let you know when they reopen and they're doing business
Dude, that'd be
again.
Awesome if they did like local band talent, like on, know what I mean?
It might happen. I mean,
that would be cool.
Matt Gordon actually is the head of the chamber now, and he's an old musician, so he's sympathetic to that kind of thing. He's very open-minded. So actually, for their big Chamber of Commerce dinner, we're the entertainment this year. We're gonna do a live podcast.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh no! It's gonna be awesome, man. So we're gonna. It's going to be where the crowd actually pick the Bullhucker.
Nice.
So Adam and I will know in advance what the Bullhucker is. We're going to help try and write the lie for whomever does it.
Oh, dude, you guys should do the stories.
Yeah, well, maybe we will.
I think that would be a good turn. You know what I mean? Turn the tables. You guys are the ones that are always picking the stories. You guys come up.
Actually, he's at episode 25.
Oh,
yeah, I've
then it's
been
you.
in that chair. So.
I'm episode 50.
Okay, well then fuck me. Never mind.
Yeah. I have some of my stories, and actually, you'd be a bad one to be because you'd probably know one of them. You would know one. You were involved, so shocking.
There's a lot of those stories, Larry.
Right. Well, Adam, we got 3 great stories. I liked them.
I did too. Those were great.
But granted, I laughed hard at this one because I know you personally. So I picture and have actually been around some of this shit happening. You know what I mean? I've been next to him doing some of it. I mean, I'd like to say Topher, I wasn't born smart or good looking or talented in any way. But when it came to drinking at one point in time, I could hold my own with people. It got ugly, but Nighttime Larry, it didn't always end well. But I can hold booze like a flask. So, all right. Do you have one in mind?
I do.
So do I. I think so. There's only one specific reason I have one in mind, but I do have one in mind. So how we decide, Adrian, this, before we do it, though, I do want to tell a story about you if I could. My favorite Adrian story.
Terrible. Absolutely. Tell it.
We worked at the Wendy's here in town, and I don't want to call them out. We'll call them the B brothers. We used to work with us, right? A couple of brothers worked there. Last name starts with the B. You'll know the story when it happens.
Okay.
So sometimes at night they'd get high in the dining room while I was back doing the books. Right?
He figured it out.
Yeah. They would get stoned while I'm back doing the books and counting all the money and stuff. And the B brothers, they knock on the door. Hey, see you later, dude. Bye, Uncle Larry. I'm like, see you guys. Everything good? Yeah, good. Say, cool. So it's now me, Adrian, and Sherman in the restaurant. I close everything up and I'm walking out, and Adrian is sitting on the counter staring at the menu board.
Yeah.
Staring at it. Yeah. Reading it, man. Like he has to know how this ends, this book. Right? I bet the chicken fillet was $3.99 at the end. I got to finish, right? And I go, hey, boobs, let's go. Come on, let's roll. Adrian. Booby. He turns to me like in a horror movie. He's like, Uncle Larry, when's this shit wear off? And I go, what shit, Adrian? What are you talking about? He's like, the marijuana, Larry. When there's the marijuana, I go, Adrian Vosburg, did you get high with those guys? He goes, yeah. I go, how much you smoke? He's like, much as them. I'm like, you went toe to toe.
Never one to back down from a challenge. Fuck it.
You went toe to toe with these guys. You were high, man.
The tile was spelling out my future in the fucking bathroom. I swear to Christ. Everything was happening in like threes. I would get up and I'd reach for something, and then I'd reach for something, and then I'd reach for something again, and I was just like, fuck this.
So Adrian's dad was a cop in town. And your dad would always stop by when we were closing to the drive-through window to just say hi. Your dad's the coolest dude ever.
He was checking up. You know he was checking up.
Which is fine because he to this day when I see him, he's just the nicest dude. He's, and he's a hardcore cop. He's that guy like, he looks like he'll tear you up. You know what I mean? But I always go along with your dad. He's like, is Adrian here? Yeah, and I'd always get Adrian. He'd poke his head out the window, talk to him. Well, this particular night, I hear the drive-through go ding, 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 and which means somebody just pulled through it. And I'm like, look out there, I see a cop car, and I'm like, son of a bitch. I cannot let Adrian talk to his father because Adrian is not even speaking English at this point. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. So I kind of had my head out there. Hey, Mr. Vosburg. He goes, hey, is Adrian busy? I go, I think he ate something, didn't agree with him. He's in the bathroom. He's like, oh, no, we're having some stone problems. I go, yes.
Which is believable based on the three stories.
Yeah.
Oh, my son's shitting. Must be true.
Yeah. He goes, well, you tell him I came by and said hi. You guys have a good night. I go, you too, sir. Thank you. So now we have to get Adrian home. He lives out in the country. And you were in the Vampire Hunter, right? Or
no,
the Subaru?
No, I was in Douglas. The Subaru.
The Subaru, okay. Remember the Vampire Hunter?
I remember the Vampire Hunter.
Okay, I told him about it with all the pitchforks and shit.
Dude, I love that truck.
So,
fucking spotlight on the top of it.
So we got to get him home. It's me, him, and Sherman. And so I'm like, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to drive the Subaru. You follow us. Okay. So we pull up onto the dirt road where Adrian lives, probably about a mile and a half from his house. I get out. I put him in the driver's seat. I'm like, listen to me. Soak in what I'm telling you right now. Very important, booby. When this shit wear off, I'm like, for a long time. You're going to be stoned for the rest of the night. Go home. Drive slow. Do not talk to anybody. Go to bed. You got it? So he closes the door. I get in a Sherman, and we take a half an hour to watch Adrian drive that mile and a half. Dude, at one point, Sherman's like, is he even moving? I think so. Dude, you took so long.
Well, I had to see and make sure what every pebble was trying to tell me at that point in time on the dirt road. I mean, it was like, yes, I hear you.
Dude, you were. And I sweated it all night. I woke up thinking nobody called the house. Lindley didn't come knocking on my bedroom window because he was my neighbor. Like, Larry, Adrian died. I'm like, you called the B brothers.
How did he die? How did he?
Oh, my God. Because you could tell when they were getting high because you could hear the fryer click back on.
Oh, yeah. Dude, we'd smoke out of a potato. They'd take a potato and carve out like a hole, and then they'd do a little bowl with it, and then they'd take the sink.
I'd have to check the screens in the sink for you idiots. I'd have to go finger bang all the sinks. I'd be like, all right, hey, the hand washing sink, where is it? Who's got that sink? We're going to give it back. He's like, you can't smoke weed out of it to put it back in the sink.
Why not? It'll just wash it off when you turn it on.
I caught him in the dumpster smoking out of a potato. I'm like, what are you idiots doing? They're like, getting high. I'm like, with a potato. And they're like, yeah. And they show me what they did. And I'm like, that's okay, but you have to use the same potato all week. Potatoes aren't free assholes, That's my favorite story when I think about you. I tell people because the look on your face is like you did not like it. You could tell you were.
It was terrible. I didn't smoke weed for a long fucking time after that. Been there, done that.
They used to put the weed and the plants on the super bar because they were all fake. That's when Wendy's had a big super bar, and I'm like, I was just waiting for the day that one of the day ladies would get up there because they'd clean. They'd actually clean when they were at work, losers. And I was just waiting for them to be like, why is the oregano up here? I'm like, it's good for the growth. Leave it alone.
That goes on the breadsticks.
Oh, my God.
Fucking super bar. Dude, I would kill for a Wendy's with a super bar these days.
Yeah, I'd go. I'd make the road trip. So, all right. That's my Adrian story. Sorry. I have other ones, but we're already at an hour, so we got all right. So what we do, Adrian, is we rate rock, paper, scissors to see who has to guess first, right?
Okay.
How do you rock, paper, scissors? How many times do you pump it?
3. 1, 2, 3, shoot.
Oh,
right?
shit.
You're a 4. Yeah, that's the way I do it.
Oh, it's 1, 2, 3, shoot.
No, I go boom, boom, boom. That's how I do.
He shoots on the third pump.
You don't shoot on.
So I'm doing statistics for the end of the year
The
show.
look on his, he is disgusted, dude.
I know. I'm not disgusted. You're not with me. I thought this was some weird Lamar shit he was bringing to the table. So, Bill Robards, I'm going back to the episodes and seeing who is the first 2 of this year have both been 3 pumpers. The next 10 are probably 4 pumpers, but still.
4 pumpers.
So we're gonna do 4 pumps, right?
All right.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Damn it!
I finally got
Oh
him.
man, I've been on a roll, dude. I've been like,
He's been killing me.
all right, so we have 3 great stories. We have Lacuna Coil Ozfest, we have Puke Purse underwear, and we have Road Trip from Hell. So I'm gonna say I got to narrow it down to 2. I think as much as I hate to say, Adrian, the Puke Purse underwear is probably true. I'm saying
Puke Purse underwear is true.
I think that one's probably true. So let me guess. So Road Trip from Hell is a second place. I think that one has the more likelihood of being true. I'm going to go with Lacuna Coil Ozfest, and the reason I'm going with that is I think Zach Wilde died before that.
Dude, Zach Wilde's still alive.
Wait, who am I thinking of then?
Are you thinking of Kurt Cobain?
No.
Fucking Randy Rhoads, maybe?
Maybe Dimebag Darrell's who I'm thinking of.
Dimebag. Nope, Dimebag died right around that time, but
Okay, I'm sorry. All
no,
right, well,
Zach Wilde's still alive.
and you didn't
Totally.
you didn't make a lot of eye contact with that one. So
Oh,
that's
next
what I'm
time I'll
gonna
eye fuck you, Larry.
I'm going to go with Lacuna Coil Ozfest. Adam?
Well, this don't happen much, but I'm going to go with the same one.
Oh, we're picking
I'm going to go
Wow.
Lacuna
down
Coil
on you.
Ozfest.
Never happened.
And the reason why I'm going with it is just because at the beginning you said that it's a borrowed story. And those other 2 just seem like, even though I just met you, but hearing stories that Larry's told me, because we've known each other for 20 years.
Right.
It just, I don't know, that just seems like that one could be a borrowed story. Those
Fit
other
ya.
2 seems.
So we're going to double up on him.
We're going to
Doesn't
double
happen
up,
very
so
often.
odds are in his favor right now.
Let's see that board,
All
Adrian
right.
Vosburg.
Unfortunately, you guys are both wrong as shit. The Puke Purse underwear story is from my ex-wife. That was her story.
She did that.
She did that. You should know me better, Larry. I don't throw up when I'm drinking. People wish that I did, but I don't
Adrian,
throw up.
I always passed out before you
That's
passed
true.
out.
That
So
is true.
I never know how your story ended that night. I know how my
and
story
the
ended.
Lacuna Coil one is completely true. There was a point when we were in Fiddlers, and there was a guy this old white trash guy, had like a fucking Vince Neil hat on. I had the entire bathroom calling him Vince Neil by the end of the time I was in there pissing. Because I was like, hey, Vince Neil, when's the new album coming out? And he was getting irate, right? So everybody else is like, hey, yeah, Vince, when's the next album coming out? Motherfucker!
Hey, if you're going to be an asshole, you're invited, but your friends can't come. Vince. Some bitch. That's awesome. And so that was true. And Road Trip from Hell is true.
Road Trip from Hell is true. And I cut a lot of that one out. There was a dead pig involved and all sorts of shit.
You know, it's funny when we come across other people and other stuff, how much comedy relates to other things. We had a boxer on here, Ernie. What's up, Ernie? And it's funny because he said the same thing. Like sometimes the cream of the crop isn't always the one that gets picked first. You know what I mean? Like, and how people get into it thinking big stars in their
Right.
eyes. This will make me famous, and then until it comes to the realization that you do this because you love to do it.
Right.
You know, this podcast will never make money. We do it because I like to do it.
Right.
You know, and I'm fortunate enough to know a lot of people in my life that are interesting, funny people, or incredibly crazy, and that's still great with me. You know, but it's funny to hear that. So, well, damn it, we got beat. You're in the Hall of Fame. Good for you.
Yes,
I
you
knew
made the Hall of Fame, dude.
I actually called her on the way here. I was like, hey, I need a third story, and your Puke Purse one's totally fucking fantastic. Can I use it? She's like, absolutely. Just make sure you use the word Puke Purse.
What kind of underwear was she wearing?
Good question.
I mean,
we
told
were
it.
dating, but it was distance, so who knows what she was wearing. At least it wasn't a thong, though. It had just been in her. must have been something, some boy shorts or
She must have been something. 'Cause
granny panties. It was laundry day. I don't
most women's underwear wouldn't hold a lot of puke.
know.
My underwear, I could make like a medieval weapon out of that thing. I'll come at you, bro. I'll come at you. So that's awesome. Any other stories you want to tell before you go, Adrian?
Oh, God. I mean, we could go on forever, but
Yeah, I get you.
I mean, Remember the time that we brought the stone bulldog, or were you there for that
No,
point?
you guys stole those stone animals and then tried to lie to me about it. That's what happened.
That's what it was.
It was you and Weiser and Tim.
Yeah, and it wound up on the roof of Wendy's. We had a stolen concrete bulldog.
When
that
you said
stole
stone bulldog, I thought you guys got an actual bulldog
No,
stoned.
no. I mean, this thing was like 300
Goddamn P.
pound
Brothers.
life-size bulldog that we had taken from somebody's yard in Sterling. And that fucker was bolted down. I mean, they
had to do some
they
work.
wanted it. And then they took it back. I was like, would you guys leave a note saying you found the fucking dog? Returning it home?
We just took him for a walk.
Right.
You know how to explain to Lynn? She's like, why is there a bulldog on top of the building, Larry? I'm like, I have no clue.
Didn't we tell them the state patrol came by and was asking about it and they freaked out?
Oh, another quick story. Sorry, it's a long podcast. This is a very old friend of mine. His sister taught me a trick. Now, chili pans at Wendy's are incredibly hard to clean because they get all crusty and man, it's a
Right.
bitch. And I go, Amy, I've been scrubbing this thing. She's like, well, you know what to do with them, right? I go, no. We take it out back and throw it into the cornfield, right? We just started. So this was a power that was able to be used but should never be abused. And I was very careful not to abuse it. Just every now and again, a chili pan went missing. I had coworkers who did not share they were just like, oh, this nacho cheese isn't, fuck it, field. So that farmer had to end up calling Wendy's like, I'm going to sue the shit out of you next time I call him mine as a chili pan. Because there was how many out there.
Dude, it was chili pans, fucking like the spatulas from the grill. I remember one time we had closed down. Tim had completely done washing dishes, right? And I take my shit back and set it down, and he looks at it, and he just grabs it, walks over, kicks open the door, and just fucking hucks something. I was like, man, I'm not cleaning them either.
Dude, they must have. Those people own that Wendy's probably would have made another $200,000 while we were there just off the shit we threw away. Lynn would be like, why are we ordering pans again? I'm like, I don't know, Lynn. I've only thrown 2 away. I don't know where the other 75 went. Talk to that dude, so reckless bastard. So, dude, that Wendy's, it was something else. The Vampire Hunter. Yeah, I was telling you, it came up not too long ago, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds familiar. I remember that.
Vampire Hunter.
Oh, it came up during Rick Caruglians. We were talking about old cars.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because you came up one day to a pitchfork, a rake. I was like,
Dude, that son of a bitch had rifles. I mean, it had a rifle rack. I took that thing to school one time, right? Get called down by the principal. The rifles in the rifle rack, are they loaded? Probably. Can you unload them for us, please? Nowadays, I've been fucking cops with it.
Yeah.
You'd be in
Yeah.
jail.
But no, it was brush back in the day. Okay, if I could take the round out and fucking, there you go.
that's just old
Put it
Vosburg.
in my pocket.
His Van's always got guns and hose, and rakes.
And rakes.
So, man, Adrian, thank you so much for coming
Thank
down,
you
man.
guys.
I was-
It's been great.
I was so happy to have you come down. I was so excited. I'm glad we got to work this out because you don't live anywhere close to here anymore.
No.
You live up in
Castle
Rocks, yeah. So it's tough to get you. There's been a few people I've reached out to that I know from my past that I know will be good at this that live out of town. They'd be like, when I come into town, I'd absolutely love to come tell you some stories. And I'm like, I'd love to hear them. You know what I mean? So it's part of the fun. I wish we'd lived closer to his old high school back in Southern Colorado to catch some of the old
Go
crazies
visit
from
some of his guys.
Holly, Colorado.
Holly.
Yeah, good old Holly.
So it'd be interesting. So thank you again so much. And
Thank
hey,
you
once
guys.
again, if you're watching this on YouTube, please hit subscribe. Little click for you, big click for us. Thank you to the Sands Theater. And if you're watching this on whatever platform you're taking this in on, leave a rating and review. We do appreciate it. And thank you again for watching. And that's all for us. I'm Moose Lundstrom.
I'm Adam Vokey.
Hey, thanks, Adrian.
Thank you guys.
Peace.